What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Build Showcase. Today we're going to be going over a build that I think is going to be really strong in the Edge of Fate as we kick off tomorrow with the Edge of Fate. Now, this build is for Hunter. It is going to be featuring the Caliban's Hand because it is going to be on the exotic list of featured items, giving it a 10% damage buff, as well as the Polaris Lance or the Tommy's Matchbook. Both these guns work for this build, and they're both on the featured guns list, so they will also be receiving a 10% buff because they're on that featured list. Now let's jump right into it. Some quick notes I want to mention before we hop into the build is our stats are going to be changing moving into Edge of Fate. If you don't know this yet, these are the key things you want to know. Mobility is becoming your weapon stat, meaning the higher number you have in that, the more damage you're going to be doing with your weapons. Resilience is moving over to health, meaning that when you have anywhere between 0 and 70, it's essentially like having the invigoration, or not the invigoration stat, I apologize, the recuperation stat. So if you have 70 within that health stat, you're going to be basically having the recuperation stat on at all times, whether you put this mod on or not, and they're going to be nerfing the recuperation stat on its own. So it might actually just be more beneficial to make sure you have 70 within that health slot, and then you guarantee yourself the recuperation mod, getting your health back up every time you pick up an orb of power. Now, recovery is moving over to the class stat, and for hunters, this is very important. On this, you want to make sure that you have at least 70 in the class stat, or in currently the recovery stat. Reason being, because of the changes they're making to your hunter dodge. When you're using gambler's dodge, right now in the game, when you dodge next to an enemy, you get a full melee charge back. Moving forward, it will only give you a % of your melee back. If you have 70 in the class stat once Edge of Fate drops, you will be getting a full melee charge when you dodge near it. So, essentially what you want to do is make sure that you have that at 70 if you're a hunter player. Moving on, the strength is going to be melee. That's what it is currently, so no big change there. The discipline is going to be grenade, same thing, no big change there, and intellect is going to be super, same thing, no changes there aside from once you get it above that 200 stat level. But we're not going to go into that right now because that's not really important for this build. Hopping back over to our subclass, we're going to go over what we're using in this subclass and why, and then we'll go back to the mods and talk through all of the mods on our weapons, or on our armor, and why we're using them. Starting off, we're going to be using the Gunslinger Hunter class. This is Solar class. We're going to be using Blade Barrage as our super. You can use any of the other two. However, Blade Barrage is the best to use, I think, outside of running Nighthawk and the Marksman super. For our abilities, we're going to be using Gambler's Dodge to get our melee back more often. Dodging near an enemy is going to give you that full recharge of your melee. For the melee, we're going to be using Proximity Knife to go along with our Caliban Hand. This is basically going to be the key to our build, the Proximity Knife being buffed because of the Caliban's Hand. For our grenade, we're going to be using the Fusion Grenade. Why? Because that grenade moderately scorches enemies on destination. This is going to be key for this build because the more we're scorching targets, the more we're going to be getting our melee back and throwing that proximity knife, causing ignitions, causing mass explosions, getting a lot of work done there. Next, we're going to be using Knock 'em Down because this buffs our Blade Barrage as well as, either of the Golden Gun ultimate or supers if you want to use that. However, the other key part of that is while Radiant, your final blows with your equipped throwing knife is going to fully refund it. Now we want that because that also applies to the explosion of the proximity knife. So if you hit an enemy and it doesn't kill it, but the subsequent explosion of the proximity knife does kill it, you will get your proximity knife back. And that is key here because then you're going to be causing ignitions, you're going to be causing explosions, and it's just going to really key in on that gameplay loop of getting our knife back, getting those explosions off. Next, on your mark is our next one, and we're mostly using this because of the 3 fragment slots. I personally like it for that. You can use Gunpowder Gamble, but you're going to be sacrificing one of your fragments on that. Now, the other key to this is Precision Final Blows, grant you and allies weapon handling and reload speed for a short duration. That stacks up to 3 times, and when you dodge, you automatically get it up to max stacks, so it's pretty good in and of itself. Moving on to our fragments, we're going to be using Ember of Torches. This is going to make powered melee attacks give you and nearby allies radiant. That's going to be huge. Next, we're going to be using Ember of Empyrean, solar weapon final blows, or ability final blows. Extend the duration of restoration and radiant. That's going to be key because once we get our melee hit, we get that radiant buff. From there, we can get the immediate kill buffed up, increase the amount of radiant we have, and just continue to build that radiant stack so that we always have it. Now, defeating an enemy that is scorched with the Ember of Searing on will create a Fire Sprite. Now that Fire Sprite with the Ember of Mercy will give us restoration. And then we bring that back to the Ember of Empyrean, where we're increasing the duration of restoration and radiant. You can pretty much always have restoration and radiant on at all times, making yourself pretty dang near invincible. Then moving on, Ember of Solace. This is just to increase the duration of the radiant and restoration buffs once they're applied to you, giving you more time to proc the Ember of Empyrean and make them last longer. This is the one, if you want to go with Gunpowder Gamble, this is the fragment I would say that you could get rid of. Don't necessarily need it. However, I personally like to have it. Gives myself more time if I'm not popping off or don't have a large group of enemies. Gives me more time to get that. Moving right along, we're going to go back to the mods here, and we're going to talk through each of the mods that we have on our armor pieces. Starting off with our helmet, we've got 2 harmonic siphons. This is going to give us orbs of power every time we get a weapon final or rapid weapon final blows. You'll be getting a lot of weapon final blows, especially solar ones, so this is important to have. The harmonic is just going to default to whatever your super is. Because we're on the solar subclass, it can't be anything other than solar, so might as well use that. Gives you the ability to have more. And then I have a heavy ammo finder just to make sure we're getting heavy ammo regularly. On our Caliban hand, we've got a strength mod and then a resilience forge mod from making it artifice armor. Basically, if you have 10 out of 10 resilience or whatever it happens to be when you move forward into the next one, you can make that whatever you need. And then I have 2 momentum transfers. Because causing damage with your grenade is going to reduce your cooldown, because our grenade is going to be scorching enemies, we're going to be doing a lot of overtime damage, getting us our melee back pretty frequently. And then I have heavy-handed powered melee final blows, create orbs of power. Ideally, we're going to be getting a lot of melee final blows with our proximity knife, so that we want to have that so that we can get it back. Moving on, I've got harmonic resistance on. You can move this resistance over to whatever incoming damage is going to be buffed. That way you're putting yourself at a better chance of surviving. And then I have a concussive dampener. I like having one of these on all of my builds just to reduce some area of effect damage, since a lot of things do cause area of effect damage. On our legs, we've got that resilience mod to make sure we've got the 100 out of 100 or 10 out of 10 resilience. We've got a solar weapon surge because anytime we pick up an orb of power, it's going to be granting damage to our solar weapons. This is important, allows us to do more damage. I prefer to have at least one of these on every build, matching whatever weapon I'm going to be using the most. And then we have 2 invigoration mods. This is going to be reducing our melee every time we pick up an orb of power. Since ideally we're going to be creating a lot of orbs of power, this is going to give our melee back a lot faster. And finally, on our Hunter Cloak, we have some more resilience mods, and then we have the Reaper mod, which means anytime we use our class ability, we're going to get our final blow, or our next weapon final blow is going to give us an orb of power. Just comboing on here with the Harmonic Siphon. And then we have a Bomber mod. This is just going to reduce our grenade cooldown. Since we have so many things giving us our melee cooldown back, we want to make sure we're getting our grenade back too, so that we can proc our momentum transfers on our gloves. And then, last but not least, Powerful Attraction, which is a great class mod to have on Hunter because you dodge so frequently. It is going to give us the ability to pull all of those orbs of power to us, making it easier to proc all of our different mods. Moving on to our weapons. For our main weapon on this, I'm going to showcase the Tommy's Matchbook. Now, like I said earlier, this build can go with multiple things. It can go with the Hierarchy of Needs, which is also going to be on the featured list. It can go with the Pilar's Lance, which is going to be on the featured list, or the Tommy's Matchbook, which is on the featured list. It can also go with the Sunshot. However, the Sunshot is not on the featured list that I saw, and so it doesn't have that 10% buff. Right now, I'm focusing on that 10% buff because it's just going to make us a little bit stronger throughout. Alright, to showcase this build, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Pale Heart and do the Expert Lost Sector there, and we're going to see how this performs. Alright, let's hop right into it. Key things to note here: Overload and Unstop champions, and I didn't actually check the incoming damage, so we're not going to worry about that. I think we'll be just fine the way we are. Boom. Quick and easy kill on that. We've got our restoration. Now, it's only got 1 second on there, so I don't think we're going to get it. But what we can do, hit a nice dodge here. Get that off. Now we're scorching all of these enemies, which means we're going to get some of this stuff back here. We've got ourselves a nice increase there. You can see here, like, even with the amount of damage I was taking, we got our restoration back. We're gonna go ahead and get this kill and that. So that is one hard bit, is with this build, you have to make sure you get the kill within the right time frame, which is not always easy to do. It also helps to hit your targets. You gotta be accurate with that knife, and let me tell you, I am not always accurate with the knife. Go ahead and get these guys exploding. Alright, we were able to get 2 kills there, but we don't quite have the increase that you want on it. Alright, I'm gonna let ourselves heal for a second. Hit this guy. Nice explosion. We're gonna come up here and we're actually just gonna ult these guys off the rip. Just gets rid of them pretty easy. And they can be a pain in the butt. Now here, we've got an overload champ, so we're gonna pull out our machine gun. Hit it with that. Now because of the current season, I am getting some bolt charge. That's not going to be present in the Edge of Fate, so you don't necessarily need to acknowledge that or even really worry about it, because that's not something that's going to be staying around. However, it is good to note that it does help. Right here, this is the main tricky area of this dungeon. What you want to do is just kind of sit back here and take out as much as you can. You can see we've already almost got our ult back, which is huge. And we've probably created a ton of orbs up there. However, the key thing here is you don't want to overextend, because this area can be a giant pain in the butt if you do. And let's see if I can actually jump up here. There we go, we got that kill. Woo! There's your nade out there. Oh, we're gonna die to that. I didn't notice how close those were. That's okay. One thing to note, in this room, you want to make sure you're watching out for when the boss puts down all of his stasis crystals, because those will just one-shot you. Oh, we're gonna die again. I got stuck in slow fields. That was brutal. That was brutal. That's on me. I was not paying attention to those. I guess that's kind of the other note for this area. Since we're radiant, we can shoot through that field. We're gonna want to back up here, get our stun off on him, hit him with this, and then we can take him out pretty easily. Now it's just the boss, and this is just a matter of hitting him enough. Watching out for these crystals. You don't want to stick around next to them. Gonna hit dodge here, hit this. Should give us our grenade back pretty much. Yep, we're gonna hit him with that. We're not gonna hit him with that because he dodged out of the way at the last second. But we're gonna get him low enough that we can execute and make it easy on ourselves. Now there is another overload champion out here, so I'm gonna keep my machine gun out. I'm gonna take out these guys. Look at that. Now we are not amplified or radiant right now, so we can't shoot through that. However, we can wait for it to go down and then just drill them afterwards. We do have bolt charge ready, so we could take them out pretty easily, but we're just gonna do it the old-fashioned way with our machine gun for educational purposes. You can see now how much we're actually just scorching enemies. We're gonna hit that, take that enemy out. Now we didn't get our grenade back because he didn't actually die to our knife. What he died to was, that is unfortunate that it stuck to that. So we dodged to get our knife back. That allows us to hit these guys, and we're going to get a kill with them every time, giving us that reset on it. We're going to hit this guy. He's going to get shielded as the explosion happens, so he doesn't actually take damage from it, which is wild. Now we've got a nice ignition off on this guy because we had already scorched him. But the key to note here is that these guys are just going to keep spawning, and we want to take them out quickly, and so we're just going to scorch them to death. We're going to grab this, get our health back, hit them with a knife, get that explosion off, take them all out at once. Now we're getting these radiant kills off, so we're getting all of our restoration up, keeping it up this whole time. And it's only going to fall off now, which is totally fine, because we'll be able to get it back once we can get to another sprite, which will happen pretty easily. See, there's a couple sprites here already we can go ahead and grab. We're going to go ahead and get rid of this, because they're just a pain in the butt. And we've got another ult up, so we're going to go ahead. I think actually I'm just going to hit this guy with this, because that's going to spawn that. We're going to get out of this slow field, hopefully. And be annoyed that we were even in it for that little bit. We're going to grab another knife. We're going to hit him. We're going to take out this hobgoblin. Keep our on the mark rating. Because soon he should spawn a champion. I'm not sure what's taking him so long to do it. I think I just gotta hit that health break point. There it is. Got the health breakpoint, got the enemy spawning. Gonna go grab this so we can get the restoration. We're gonna hit this knife, except we're not, but we're gonna dodge and hit another one. And we're not gonna hit that one either. Instead, we're gonna hit this, get the kill on the boss, take out these freaking goblins guarding him, get our stun off, hit him with a prox knife, get that bolt charge flowing, keep him scorched. He did ignite there, but he didn't get the stun because it was too close to the other stun. Oh, we've got the other boss killed now, and we're good to go. And that is the end of that. So you can see we're not totally invincible there. Some of that was just misplay out of me, but the key to this build is getting that restoration loop going. Now, I think this build is going to be exceptionally strong in the Edge of Fate because we don't have to worry about our resilience anymore. We can get all of those points, all of those mods that I have right now on resilience. Instead of being in my health stat, I can have them in my melee, I can have them in my class, I can have them in my grenade, and we can just continuously build on the things that are going to actually increase our damage with this build, right? Because if we get the melee and we get it above 100, we're getting a 0 to 30% ability damage increase with our melee, which means we could be one-shotting some of those higher health enemies and creating explosions all over, constantly having our melee back and ready to go with our radiant up. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how well it performs moving forward when we can change our stats up a little bit. We're restricted a little bit right now with having to have that 10 resilience, but moving forward I think it's going to be absolutely huge. Now, I hope this build helped you out. If it did, make sure to leave a like, comment down below. Let me know other builds you want to see moving into the Edge of Fate. I'm going to try and put out a couple a week as we figure out what's going to be the strongest in Edge of Fate. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next video.